I'm 83 years old. My daughter Linda called me last week and said, "Mom, we need to talk about your living situation." I knew exactly what that meant. She's been circling around it for months now. Assisted living, a facility, somewhere I'd be safe. And look, I understand why she's worried. I do. But what she doesn't understand, what most people don't understand, is that safety isn't the same thing as living. I'm Laura Grace, and I need to tell you what I've learned about getting old and needing help. Because the choices everyone talks about, moving in with family, hiring caregivers, going to a nursing home, they're not the only options anymore. And honestly, sometimes they're not even the good options. If you're younger than me, you might be thinking about this for your parents. If you're my age, you're probably thinking about it for yourself. Either way, I've tried most of it. I want to tell you what actually worked and what didn't. And I need you to understand something before I continue. This isn't theory. This is what happened to me, every word of it. After Vincent died, I lived alone for the first time in my life. 46 years of marriage, then suddenly just me in that house. At first, it was manageable. I could cook, I could clean, I could handle my own affairs. The house was quiet, but I told myself that was fine, that I preferred it that way. Then things started changing. Small things at first. I'd get winded walking up from the basement. My hands would shake opening jars. I'd forget why I walked into a room. One morning I slipped getting out of the shower, caught myself on the towel bar, didn't fall, but it scared me. That night I lay in bed thinking, what if next time I don't catch myself? What if I fall and no one finds me for days? My stomach dropped just thinking about it. So I called Linda, asked if maybe I could come stay with her for a while, just until I felt steadier. She said yes immediately, said I should have asked sooner. Her husband was kind about it. My grandchildren seemed pleased. The first week was nice. Family dinners, conversation, feeling like I mattered to someone again. But then the reality set in. Linda and her husband both work. The grandchildren have school, activities, friends. By the second week, I was alone in their house most days, just like I'd been alone in mine, except now I was alone in someone else's space. The small friction started. "Mom, could you not use so much salt? Your blood pressure. Mom, can you turn down the TV? The kids are doing homework. Mom, we're going out Saturday. You'll be okay here, right?" They weren't being cruel. I want to be clear about that. They were just living their lives, and I was in the way of it. One evening, I overheard Linda on the phone with my son David. I wasn't trying to listen. I was just sitting in the living room, and she was in the kitchen, and the walls were thin. She said, "I know it's the right thing to do, but honestly, it's exhausting. I can't even go to the store without worrying about her." I wasn't supposed to hear that, but I did. And I realized something that night. Living with family doesn't make you less lonely. Sometimes it makes the loneliness worse because you're surrounded by people and you still feel invisible. You feel like a burden. And what I didn't understand back then was that this wasn't Linda's fault. It wasn't mine either. It's just what happens when you try to fit an entire life into someone else's house. After 3 months, I told her I was going home. She worried I wouldn't be safe, but I insisted. I needed my own space, needed to stop feeling like I was in the way every single day. Back home, I felt relief. But I also felt the weight of everything I couldn't do anymore. The stairs were getting harder. Cooking exhausted me. I'd drop things, forget things. One afternoon, trying to change a light bulb in the kitchen, my hands started shaking so badly I had to give up. I just stood there with this burnt-out bulb in my hand thinking, this is how it happens. This is how you stop being able to take care of yourself. And this is where the story gets heavy, because I had to make a choice. I could keep pretending I was fine, or I could get help. So I looked into hiring someone, a woman who could come a few times a week, clean, cook, run errands. The first one was named Patricia, nice woman, mid-50s, efficient. At first it felt strange having a stranger in my house, touching my things, reorganizing my kitchen, but I adjusted, and it helped for a while. Then the bills started coming. Even part-time help cost $3,000 a month. My Social Security covered maybe a third of that. I had savings. Vincent had been careful about that. But watching that account drain month after month, I couldn't sustain it. And there were other problems, small things that added up. I liked doing dishes right after meals. Patricia preferred to let them sit. I like my towels folded a certain way. She had her own system. Little differences, but they bothered me because it was my house. And suddenly I was adjusting to someone else's preferences in my own home. Then Patricia left. Family emergency. Couldn't come back. So I had to start over with someone new. Different person. Different habits. Different everything. The third one lasted a month. The fourth lasted 2 weeks. Every time someone new walked through my door, I had to explain everything again. Where things went, what I needed, how I liked things done. I was exhausted and still spending money I couldn't afford to spend. So I canceled the service. Now I was out of options, or so I thought. Linda found a place, assisted living facility about 20 minutes away, $3,000 a month, clean, good reputation, medical staff on site. She suggested I try it for a month, just to see, Mom. I agreed, mostly because I was tired of trying to figure it out alone. Pay attention to this detail because it's going to matter later. The day I moved in felt strange, like checking into a hotel, except I wasn't leaving. My room was small, clean, but impersonal, nothing like home. The first few days weren't terrible. I met other residents. We played cards, had meals together. The food was decent, but by the end of the first week, I started feeling trapped. Wake up at 6:30, breakfast at 7:30, lunch at noon, dinner at 5. I've never eaten dinner at 5 o'clock in my life, but that's when they served it. I like reading late at night, always have. Vincent used to tease me about it, said I'd ruin my eyes. But at 9 o'clock, the hallway lights would dim, and if they saw a light under my door, someone would knock. Mrs. Grace, it's time to sleep now. Time to sleep. I'm 83 years old. I've been making my own decisions for 8 decades, and now a stranger half my age is telling me when to go to bed. One evening, I wanted to walk outside. It was a beautiful night, cool air, clear sky. I headed toward the door. A staff member stopped me. Outdoor time ended at 7, Mrs. Grace. Safety policy, safety policy. Those 2 words became my prison. And here's the thing, I wasn't even that sick. I could walk, think clearly, take care of myself. But here I was, living like I'd lost all independence, like I was a child again. Wait, it gets worse. After 3 weeks, I called Linda, told her I was leaving. She said, Mom, you said you'd give it a month. I said, this isn't living. I'd rather struggle at home than be comfortable in a cage. The day I left, the sun felt brighter. The air felt fresher. I was free again. But back home, I still had the same problems. I still couldn't manage everything alone. Still got tired. Still dropped things. Still felt scared sometimes. I'd tried everything. Family, caregivers, a facility. None of it worked. For a few days, I just sat, watched the neighborhood from my window, tried to figure out what to do next. I felt like I'd run out of road. Then, one afternoon, I was walking to the small grocery store on the corner. Not the big one, that's too far now. Just the little place 3 blocks away. I passed my neighbor Sarah. She lives 2 doors down. Young woman, maybe 40. Always looks stressed. She was on her phone, pacing. I heard her say, "I can't leave work early again, Tom. My boss already said something last week." She hung up. Looked like she might cry. I knew her situation. Single mother, works full time. Her daughter's maybe 7 or 8. I see her sometimes playing in the yard. Without thinking much about it, I walked over. I said, "Excuse me, Sarah, if you ever need someone to pick up your daughter from school, I walk past there every day anyway." She looked surprised. Said, "Oh, I couldn't ask you to do that." I said, "You're not asking, I'm offering." She hesitated. Then she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'm sure. What's her name?" She said, "Emma, 2nd grade." I said, "I'll be there at 3 tomorrow." And that's how it started. The next day, I picked up Emma, walked her home. She chatted the whole way about her teacher, her friends, a project she was working on. When Sarah got home at 5, she knocked on my door with a plate of food. She said, "I made extra. Please take this." I tried to refuse. I said, "You don't need to do that." She said, "You're helping me. Let me help you." That became our routine. I picked up Emma every day. Sarah left food for me a few times a week, but it became more than that. Sarah's husband, when he was home between work trips, fixed my leaky faucet, helped me change that light bulb I couldn't manage. Sarah helped me figure out how to pay bills online, set up grocery delivery for the heavy things I couldn't carry anymore. Emma drew pictures for me, taped them to my refrigerator, started calling me Miss Laura. One evening, Sarah said to me, "You know, you've really changed our lives. I was drowning before." I smiled. I said, "You've changed mine too. I'd forgotten what it felt like to be useful." And that was it. That was the thing I'd been missing. I didn't need someone to take care of me. I needed to still matter, to still have something to give. You know what surprised me the most? How simple it was, how natural. I wasn't hiring someone. I wasn't moving in with family. I wasn't giving up my independence. I was just being a neighbor, and in return, I got help. But more than that, I got connection. I got purpose. I got to feel like myself again. Honestly, I'm not saying this is the solution for everyone. Your situation might be different. Maybe you're sicker than I am. Maybe living with family actually works for you. But here's what I learned. You don't have to choose between total independence and total dependence. There's space in between. You can accept help without giving up control. You can contribute without exhausting yourself. Community matters more than money. I spent thousands on caregivers and still felt alone. Now I spend almost nothing and feel more connected than I have in years. Because money buys services, but it doesn't buy relationships. Sarah doesn't help me because I'm paying her. She helps because I help her. That's different. Let me explain. I still have something valuable to offer. I have time. I have experience. I can walk a child home from school. I can listen when someone needs to talk. Age doesn't make you worthless. It just changes what you have to offer. And what I didn't understand back then, when I was trying all those other options, was that I was looking for someone to solve my problem. But the real solution wasn't about fixing me. It was about building something new, something reciprocal, something that made me feel human again. I'm 83. I live alone, but I'm not lonely, and I'm not waiting for the day I can't manage. I'm living now, today, on my terms. Maybe one day I'll need more help. Maybe I'll end up in a facility after all. But for now, I'm here, still useful, still connected, still myself. And I need you to understand something. This didn't happen by accident. I had to stop thinking about what I couldn't do anymore and start thinking about what I still could. I had to stop seeing myself as a burden and start seeing myself as someone with something to give. That shift, that change in how I thought about myself, that's what made everything else possible. I'm grateful for this arrangement, for Sarah and Emma, for neighbors who check in, for still having something to give. I'm grateful I didn't give up after trying the traditional options, that I kept looking for something that actually fit my life, not someone else's idea of what my life should look like, mine. One of my children, I won't say which one, called me a few months ago and asked if I was still making these videos, said people are watching, said it makes the family look bad, like we didn't take care of you, Mom. I told them, I'm not trying to make anyone look bad. I'm trying to tell the truth. And the truth is this: you can love your family and still not want to live with them. You can accept help and still keep your dignity. You can be old and still matter. If this story reached you today, if you've been trying to figure out how to keep living on your own terms, leave a comment. Tell me what you're dealing with, because I read every single one, and I answer when I can. You're not invisible to me. If you want to keep talking, subscribe. Every week I sit down at this table and I tell you the truth, because someone has to. Someone has to say out loud what we're all thinking, that getting old is hard, that the options they give us are terrible, that we deserve better, and that sometimes better doesn't come from a program or a facility or a paid caregiver. Sometimes it comes from a neighbor, a child who needs picked up from school, a plate of food left on your doorstep. Sometimes it comes from remembering that you still have something to give, even now, even at 83, even when your hands shake and you can't carry the groceries and you need help changing a light bulb. You still matter, you're still here, and that's enough. Thank you for sitting with me, for listening to an old woman figure out how to age without disappearing. I'll be here next week, still working it out, still finding my way. Take care of yourself, however that looks for you.